Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by today. We are going to continue with the book of Samuel. But first, before we begin, Father, as I read and receive your word, may it deeply be rooted in me. So when difficulty comes, it will be your word that encourages and strengthens me. Amen. So chapter 9 is where we're at right now. Saul meets Samuel. Kish was a rich, influential man from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the son of Abil, and grandson of Zeror, from the family of Bechorath, and the clan of Aphiah. His son Saul was the most handsome man in Israel, head and shoulders taller than anyone else in the land. One day Kish's donkey strayed away, and he told Saul, "Take a servant with you and go look for them." So Saul took one of his servants and traveled all through the hill country of Ephraim, the land of Shalish and Shalom area, and the entire land of Benjamin, but they couldn't find the donkeys anywhere. Finally, they entered the region of Zuph, and Saul said to his servant, "Let's go home. By now my father will be more worried about us than about the donkeys." But the servant said, "I just thought of something. There's a man of God who lives here in this town. He is held in high honor by all the people because everything he says comes true. Let's go find him. Perhaps he can tell us which way to go." "But we don't have anything to offer him," Saul replied. "Even our food is gone, and we don't have a thing to give him." "Well," the servant said, "I have one small silver piece. We can at least offer it to him and see what happens." In those days, if people wanted a message from God, they would say, "Let's go and ask the seer." For prophets used to be called seers. "All right," Saul agreed, "let's try it." So they started into the town where the man of God was. As they were climbing a hill toward the town, they met some young women coming out of the draw water. So Saul and his servant asked, "Is there a seer here today?" "Yes," they replied. "Stay right on this road. He is at the town gates. He has just arrived to take part in a public sacrifice up on the hill. Hurry and catch him before he goes up the hill to eat. The guests won't start until he arrives to bless the food." So they entered the town. As they passed through the gates, Samuel was coming out toward them to climb the hill. Now the Lord had told Samuel the previous day, "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him to be the leader of my people, Israel. He will rescue them from the Philistines, for I have looked down on my people in mercy and have heard their cry." When Samuel noticed Saul, the Lord said, "That's the man I told you about. He will rule my people." Just then Saul approached Samuel at the gateway and asked, "Can you please tell me where the seer's house is?" "I am the seer," Samuel replied. Go on up the hill ahead of me to the place of sacrifice, and we'll eat there together. In the morning I will tell you about what you want to know and send you on your way. And don't worry about those donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, for they have been found. And I'm here to tell you that you and your family are the focus of all Israel's hopes." Saul replied, "But I'm only from Benjamin, the smallest tribe in Israel. And my family is the least important of all the families of that tribe. Why are you talking like this to me?" Then Samuel brought Saul and his servant into the great hall and placed them at the head of the table, honoring them above the 30 special guests. Samuel then instructed the cook to bring Saul the finest cut of meat, the piece that had been set aside for the guest of honor. So the cook brought it out and placed it before Saul. "Go ahead and eat it," Samuel said. "I was saving it for you even before I invited these others." So Saul ate with Samuel. After the feast, when they had returned to the town, Samuel took Saul up to the roof of the house and prepared a bed for him there. At daybreak the next morning, Samuel called up to Saul, "Get up, it's time you were on your way." So Saul got ready, and he and Samuel left the house together. When they reached the edge of the town, Samuel told Saul to send his servant on ahead. After the servant was gone, Samuel said, "Stay here, for I have received a special message for you from God." Okay, just let me make sure I read that right. Chapter 10, Samuel anoints Saul as king. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it over Saul's head. He kissed Saul on the cheek and said, "I am doing this because the Lord has appointed you to be the leader of his people Israel. When you leave me today, you will see 2 men besides Rachel's tomb at Zelzah, on the border of Benjamin. They will tell you that the donkeys have been found and that your father is worried about you and is asking, have you seen my son? When you get to the oak of Tabor, you will see 3 men coming towards you who are on their way to worship God at Bethel. One will be bringing 3 young goats, another will have 3 loaves of bread, and the third will be carrying a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 of the loaves, which you are to accept. When you arrive at Gibeah of God, where the garrison of the Philistines is located, you will meet a band of prophets coming down the altar on the hill. They will be playing a harp, a tambourine, a flute, and a lyre, and they will be prophesying. At that time the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you with power, and you will prophesy with them. You will be changed into a different person. After these signs take place, do whatever you think is best, for God will be with you. Then go down to Gilgal ahead of me, and wait for me there for 7 days. I will join there to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. When I arrive, I will give you further instruction. Samuel's signs are fulfilled. As Saul turned and started to leave, God changed his heart, and all Samuel's signs were fulfilled that day. When Saul and his servant arrived in Gibeah, they saw the prophets coming toward them. Then the Spirit of God came upon Saul, and he too began to prophesy. Excuse me. When his friends heard about it, they exclaimed, "What? Is Saul a prophet? How did the son of Kish become a prophet?" But one of the neighbors responded, "It doesn't matter who his father is. Anyone can become a prophet." So that is the origin of the saying, "Is Saul a prophet?" When Saul had finished prophesying, he climbed the hill to the altar. "Where in the world have you been?" Saul's uncle asked him. "We went to look for the donkeys," Saul replied, "but we couldn't find them, so we went to the prophet Samuel to ask him where they were." "Oh, and what did he say?" his uncle asked. "He said the donkeys had been found," Saul replied. But Saul didn't tell his uncle that Samuel had anointed him to be king. Saul is acclaimed king. Later Samuel called all the people of Israel to meet before the Lord of Mizpah, and he gave them this message from the Lord. "The God of Israel, I brought you from Egypt and rescued from the Egyptians and from all the nations that were oppressing you. But though I have done so much for you, you have rejected me and said, 'We want a king instead.' Now, therefore, present yourselves before the Lord by tribes and clans." So Samuel called the tribal leaders together before the Lord, and the tribe of Benjamin was chosen. Then he brought each family of the tribe of Benjamin before the Lord, and the family of the Matrites was chosen. And finally Saul, son of Kish, was chosen from among them. But when they looked for him, he had disappeared, so they asked the Lord, "Where is he?" And the Lord replied, "He is hiding among the baggage." So they found him and brought him out, and he stood head and shoulders above anyone else. Then Samuel said to all the people, "This is the man the Lord has chosen as your king. No one in all Israel is equal." And the people shouted, "Long live the king." Then Samuel told the people what the rights and duties of a king were. He wrote them down on a scroll and placed it before the Lord. Then Samuel sent the people home again. When Saul returned to his home in Gibeah, a band of men whose hearts God had touched became his constant companions. But there were some wicked men who complained, "How can this man save us?" And they despised him and refused to bring him gifts. But Saul ignored him. Saul defeats the Ammonites. Chapter 11. About a month later, King Nahash of Ammon led his army against the Israelite city of Jabesh Gilead. But the citizens of Jabesh asked for peace. "Make a treaty with us, and we will be your servants," they pleaded. "All right," Nahash said, "but only on one condition. I will gouge out the right eye of every one of you as a disgrace to all of Israel." "Give us 7 days to send messengers throughout Israel," replied the leaders of Jabesh. "If none of our relatives will come to save us, we will agree to your terms." When the messengers came to Gibeah, Saul's hometown, and told the people about their plight, everyone broke into tears. Saul was plowing in the field, and when he returned to town, he asked, "What's the matter? Why is everyone crying?" So they told him about the message from Jabesh. Then the Spirit of God came mightily upon Saul, and he became very angry. He took 2 oxen and cut them into pieces and sent the messengers to carry them throughout Israel with this message: "This is what will happen to the oxen of anyone who refuses to follow Saul and Samuel into battle." And the Lord made the people afraid of Saul's anger. And all came out together as one. When Saul mobilized them at Bezek, he found that there were 300,000 men of Israel, in addition to 30,000 from Judah. So Saul sent the messengers back to Jabesh Gilead to say, "We will rescue you by noontime tomorrow." What joy there was throughout the city when that message arrived. The message of Jabesh then told their enemies, "Tomorrow we will come out to you, and you can do to us as you wish." But before dawn the next morning, Saul arrived, having divided his army into 3 detachments. He launched a surprise attack against the Ammonites and slaughtered them the whole morning. The remnant of their army was so badly scattered that no 2 of them were left together. Then the people exclaimed to Samuel, "Now where are those men who said Saul shouldn't rule over us? Bring them here, and we will kill them." But Saul replied, "No one will be executed today, for today the Lord has rescued Israel." Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us all go to Gilgal to reaffirm Saul's kingship." So they went to Gilgal, and in a solemn ceremony before the Lord, they crowned him king. Then they offered peace offerings to the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites were very happy. Well, thank you for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Sorry, I just found something on me. I will be back tomorrow, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.